I've created a diet plan quiz, and the results are connected to the database. I want to create a membership functionality where it's based on the meals answers of the users. I'll give them access to the right meal plan page based on their picks. The freelancer did the job using the login redirect filter, but the quiz backend doesn't seem to be working properly because it's cloned and coded poorly. Okay. Did you know any plugin or quiz builder that I can use to create similar to that one? So, give me one second. Yes, things being coded poorly is definitely an issue. And it reminds me of 10 years ago or 11 years ago now or something, when I first tried to get MemberMouse built. I hired a team in Russia to do it, and they ended up returning back to me, and I didn't know much at this time, so I was pretty ignorant myself, but they ended up giving back to me a custom coded version of WordPress. And I wasn't really familiar with WordPress, but I asked kind of naively, I was like, doesn't WordPress have like something called a plugin where you could just build a plugin and like not actually modify the WordPress itself? Because like, what happens if WordPress doesn't update? And they're like, oh yeah, we would just have to rebuild the whole thing. Like, that sounds stupid. So basically that ended with me having to throw away $20,000 worth of investment and X number of months worth of work. Anyway, just commiserating with you because this is the way it goes. As far as, so essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to, based on some questions that you're asking, you want to give people access to certain things. So there's two parts to this. One is the part where you're getting the information about what somebody is asking you, getting information about what you're asking somebody, X number of questions. Now, Gravity Forms is a great plugin for this. It's super well developed and has a lot of features, and most of your good contractors out there will know how to work with this. Step number one. So let's say you're using Gravity Forms to collect the data that will be stored. Step number two is you want to perform an action based on the answers that were given, which in this case is to give them particular access on their account. Now, you're talking about memberships levels, but I would say the best thing to do would be to have just a free membership level and use bundles, because this will give you more flexibility. Because right now you're asking one particular question that may determine the membership on their account. But what if in the future you learn that, oh, there's actually more level of detail I can get into, meaning I can ask 2 questions, and based on those 2 questions, I could flag their account in 2 ways as opposed to 1. If you go ahead doing this with membership levels, if that point in time comes where you need more flexibility, you're going to have to do some redevelopment and you'll be stuck. So I would say at this point, use bundles, and that way you have all sorts of flexibility in the future. Because really what you're trying to do is you're trying to tag the person's account. You're trying to put something on the account that indicates what their interests are, so you can deliver content to them and engage with them in the best way. Bundles in MemberMouse act like tags in a way, because it flags the account. It says they have this bundle, they have this bundle, and they have that bundle. And in that way you can then use smart tags to have to know what bundles they have, and then have a particular conversation with them on pages on your site using smart tags. This is a whole nother thing. Look at the member decision smart tag and the has bundle attribute, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Oh, so up, go. So yeah, the second part is actually based on the answers from the quiz. creating the access on the account, which you can do with our API, right? So there's an add bundle method in the API, or if you use bundles, or there's a create member method if you want to use membership levels. But yeah, essentially you're gonna have to get a developer to do this, and they're gonna have to do it right. um, that's a very tricky part. You believe me, it's hard to find good help. So I would suggest, if you want to get it done right the first time, use somebody from our qualified contractors page. These are people who have worked with customers of ours over the years. And yes, they are going to be more expensive than if you go to Fiverr or if you go to Upwork or something like that. But believe me, it's better to pay somebody a reasonable amount up front than to pay somebody a small amount and get something that doesn't work, right? In the long run, it is definitely a better decision. So the people on the qualified contractors page, if you give them a set of specs and you ask them to implement it, it will get done right. And therefore you'll have that functioning in your business, and therefore your business can proceed, as opposed to what you've gone through right now, which is you paid somebody to do something, it didn't work, and now you're gonna have to do it over again. So yeah, Matt just included a link in the chat to our implementation partners or qualified contractors. So, but you can always easily get that by going to our support.membermouse.com and typing in implementation partners.